Ready to go. What is a big night of World Cup qualifying. Croatia have just taken the lead against Iceland. Greece in control against Romania. France kick off against Ukraine at 8 o'clock. But in Solna tonight, the Ibrahimovic v Ronaldo show that will decide whether Sweden or Portugal go to the World Cup in Brazil. Howard Webb, the man in charge. Advantage Portugal from the first leg, but only just. We're ready to go in the company of Andy Hinchcliffe. And first, Daniel Mann.
Yes, a place on football's ultimate stage is up for grabs now in the next 90 minutes or so. 205 days till the big Brazilian party begins, but only one of these two great talents and these two teams will receive an invitation. A wonderful stage. We hope a wonderful night. Portugal holding the advantage with their reshaped attack. Hugo Almeida there, making only his second start of this qualification campaign. Preferred to Helder Postiga. And they will get the game underway. And Sweden, well, there is plenty of time. They can afford to be a little bit patient, although a whirlwind start may suit them. Against Germany in their last home game, they did perform absolutely brilliantly in the first quarter of the game and took the lead and stole the second somewhat against the run of play as Germany got control. How do you see it? How would you go at it if you were in their shoes, Andy?
I think from Sweden's point of view, they have to strike a balance between, of course, trying to get an early goal, maybe in the first 20 minutes or so, but you can't take too many risks. If they do concede the opening goal in this game, not only do they go 2 goals down, but of course it's an away goal as well for Portugal, so there has to be that balance. I'm sure the coach will have spoken to his players about being positive and getting the ball forward, getting Ibrahimovic much more into the game, but don't go gung-ho in the opening half an hour and throw the game away.
Here's Pepe, who certainly did betray a few signs of nerves in front of his own fans on Friday night, where the pressure was undoubtedly greater on these Portuguese players. Revel in that little extra bit of freedom and maybe the extra space, given that Sweden do have to be more on the front foot, a good deal more on the front foot than they were on Friday. This is Martin Olsen. Amanda, his club colleague, the only target in the penalty box. He's managed to force the first quarter of the game off João Pereira. Eric Hamre, this could be his final international. His contract is up very shortly. He says publicly, at least, that he has not thought about the implications of failure. It's Larsson's right foot, something different. Shellstrom hoping to get there, and he was hoping to receive it on that wonderful left foot of his.
Oh, to me, that's completely the wrong choice. What, just 2 minutes on the clock, a chance for Seb Larsson with his wonderful delivery to really whiz that ball in on top of Patricio and really test that Portugal defence. They try and be too clever, pull it out to the edge of the box, and a golden chance to put some early pressure on has gone.
Nothing cagey about their opening to the game. It has to be said, the first leg did start at a fair old tempo as Portugal grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck. Towards Almeida. Maybe a useful outball in that respect for them.
Yeah, I think we saw in the second half in Lisbon, Portugal putting the pressure on, keeping possession well and forcing Sweden back. I think Sweden just 1-0 down, were quite happy just to sit deep and keep the scoreline to 1-0. But for me, in this game, they have to step onto the game, play the game maybe 10-15 yards further up the field, and that, of course, is a risk, because with Ronaldo and Nani, they do have the pace to get in behind that Swedish defence, but Sweden have to play on the front foot, and to me, they just have to squeeze the game more than they did in the second half in Lisbon.
Thompson almost getting in a spot of bother. Martin Olsen hoping for a free kick, and indeed he has got it.
It's very important for the Swedish fullbacks, Martin Olsen and Michael Lustig, to supplement the attacks, try and get over the halfway line if they can, provide some width and get some crosses in for the two centre-forwards.
Pitch back to Olsen. Rasmus Elm trying to make progress. There were some who felt that Anders Svensson might replace Rasmus Elm in the heart of that midfield, a more attacking player. Certainly a more experienced one. But here's Shellstrom, over 100 caps to his name as well.
There's an example there of why Sweden do have to be careful if they commit bodies forward on the counter-attack. We saw in the first leg Portugal with players like Morelos and Moutinho, they have the vision and the clever passing in their game to pick out the pace of Nani and Ronaldo, and there's space there for the Portuguese attackers to get into. We could see them really pouring forward, and the all-important first goal in this game.
Hugo Almeida pulling out to the left at that moment while Ronaldo takes the centre ground. Paulo Bento up front and open about his intentions. We're here to score, we're here to win. Nani. Door shut by Rasmus Elm. That's Ibrahimovic. Kacaniklic. This is promising. Ibrahimovic. Can Kacaniklic dig it out? Not on this occasion.
Well, the winger just can't quite catch up with the ball from Ibrahimovic, but better already from the centre forward, getting involved. And he's not just a goal scorer, he can pick a pass as well, but that one just slightly too heavy, and Kacaniklic just can't wrap his left foot around it.
Antonsen. Hugo Almeida, João Moutinho. Shellstrom. Run through to Pepe. And Fabio Coentrão may well be penalised for a high one here on Lustig.
I do feel that's the way forward for Sweden. You can see how high they pressed up the field there, didn't allow Portugal to play out comfortably from the back, and they have to do that, try and get as many yellow shirts in the Portugal half, putting them under pressure as they can.
The ever-aggrieved Paulo Bento, he's not a smiler. Shellstrom's left foot then. Very, very deep. Per Nilsson forward, the centre-back.
They've been really poor, Sweden, in the opening 6 or 7 minutes of the game. They've had opportunities from free kicks and from corners, and they just simply haven't put any pressure on. Really poor quality.
There has been an element of a new philosophy with Erik Hamrén at the Swedish helm since he took over from Lars Lagerbäck. Hoping to guide Iceland to the World Cup finals, although he's not going his way at the moment tonight in their match against Croatia. Moutinho. João Pereira, who was a very prominent attacking presence in the first leg. Nani. Thompson across to Shackleton. Two centre-backs of Sweden, terrific in the first game. Certainly something that hasn't been said all the way through this qualifying campaign. They try to catch the Swedes sleeping there, but failed to do so.
In the first leg, Portugal put an awful lot of crosses in. I just wonder, maybe that's why Paulo Bento has gone for Hugo Almeida as his centre-forward. Much more of a physical presence than Helder Postiga, and Portugal can get the ball into wide areas, can put some decent quality in there. The big striker may profit.
Fabio Quentrell waits, finally gets the go-ahead. Hugo Almeida showing for it. There's Elmander. And now Ibrahimovic. Martin Olsen-Rady. Ibrahimovic again. Shellstrom. Coutinho. He lost out. Larsen. Rasmus Elm. That could be useful, but he didn't quite get his geometry right. Oh, snapping at Portuguese heels. That was Elm. It's very much Sweden's game at the moment. The Portuguese time on the ball. I can understand it in the first leg, just sitting off and trying to contain Portugal, but in the second leg they have to engage them higher up the field and take a few more risks, and they might leave themselves a little bit short at the back, but they desperately need the opening goal in this game, and I think they have a better chance of getting it by not allowing Portugal comfortable possession in their own half. They were beaten by Germany in their last home qualifier, 5-3. It was a phenomenally entertaining game. This time they conceded 5 at home in a competitive game since the '58 World Cup final, the high watermark for Swedish football. Some will still argue it was the high watermark for Brazilian football, notwithstanding 1970. Bruno Alves. And this is Pepe. Missed training on Sunday, as did Cristiano Ronaldo, actually. Straightforward for Isaacson. Even though we felt it was a pretty accidental collision, some of the Swedish tabloids getting a little wound up by Ronaldo and Isaacson's coming together, let's say, in the first game, which I think we both felt he was rather unlucky to be booked for. I think the thing that tells me it was an accident was the fact that he never really had a look for Isaacson. If he'd been looking for the goalkeeper, still it would have been very difficult to actually catch him in the way that he did. I did think that was accidental, but that headbutt in inverted commas, he did run the risk of getting sent off, and that would have changed, of course, the whole complexion of this game. Here's Ibrahimovic. Well, he would have had the stage to himself in many ways. Shellstrom. Hugo Almeida. Rasmus Elm scampering after it, and keeping the ball in Swedish hands, or at Swedish feet. They've not beaten the Portuguese in nearly 30 years. They've not beaten them here since 1981. World Cup qualifier where, in the end, both teams failed to reach the finals in Spain. Scotland and Northern Ireland qualified at their expense. Oh, for those days again. Particularly the former, in my case. Antonsen of Bologna. Just had to adjust a little coming into the national team setup. Just a little wayward from Isaacson. Playing a back three with Bologna. The back four has been long established in Swedish football. Niklic conceding the foul on this occasion. I think Howard Webb just making a point to Niklic, so that's the only one he's going to get away with. You mentioned Seb Larsson talking about Howard Webb and how he was going to referee this game, whether he would allow the Swedes to be a bit more physical.
And there's only maybe another challenge that he can make before he goes into the referee's notebook.
Well, Morelos, of course, just returning from injury. The first leg was his first game in the best part of 6 weeks for club or country. Some useful weapons in there. One of them is Bruno Alves, and Isaacson having to produce the save.
It's a really tidy head, and what makes it difficult for Isaacson is the way the ball just bounces in front of him. He can't make a clean catch. He's got to try and judge the bounce, get this wrong. And this could easily just sneak into the corner. It's actually a terrific save. He's got to adjust his body, get his angles absolutely right, and time his dive to perfection. And that is a very important save.
A man who has got goals in him. He's proved it in the Portuguese scores in this qualification campaign, bringing the best out of Sweden's goalkeeper.
That underlines the point I was making about the Swedish set pieces. No real quality there. Moutinho over that ball. Delivers a decent ball in. Bruno Alves is on the move, and an opportunity comes at the end. And in general play, of course, you want to try and score goals, but set plays in a game like this, a tie as tight as this, you have to make them count.
Well, the booing will be like a symphony to Paulo Bento's ears. It's not been the same free-flowing, vibrant start that we saw in Portugal. Almost a wonderful moment here for the men in red.
It's a vital save. We've seen it time and again. Centre-halves just getting a flick on a pacey ball like that and it drifting into the corner, but Isaacson did really well just to judge the bounce.
Antonsson. Elm. Shellström. Kacaniklic. Ibrahimovic. Taking a fair amount of possession in those kind of areas so far. He was almost waiting for the game to come to him on Friday night. He's certainly been involved a good deal more in these first 16 minutes or so.
Yeah, you can talk about how to get Ibrahimovic much more involved in a game, and it is personally down to him to cover more ground, to show for his teammates as well. And of course his teammates need to try and find him with a bit more quality. Certainly in the second half in Lisbon he was starved of possession and was a peripheral figure and just not involved whatsoever.
Olsen. That's a nice turn and promise here for the Swedes. Well, Almander applauding his clubmate's effort.
Well, the idea was certainly right, and he's been really positive actually. Martin Olsen at left back, he's pressed forward a number of occasions and it opens up nicely for him. The big criticism, of course, hit the target. Whether it's the greatest shot in the world doesn't matter. Work, Patricio. That's what Sweden haven't done in the opening stages of this game.
The Norwich City pair in international conflict together tonight. I mentioned Ronaldo and Pepe missing one day's training. So did Elmander on Sunday between first and second legs. Not surprising that he needed a bit of time to recover, given the energy he put into his display in the Estadio de Luz. Nani's cross really was fizzed. And Thompson will have to complete the job here. João Moutinho. Fixture in this Portuguese side in the midfield. Millionaires' playground of Monaco. Here he is again, João Pereira. Olsen was after it, but he lost out. João Moutinho. Thompson to get it away. A little sticky spell for Sweden.
It's really understandable. The opening probably 20 minutes of this game, it's going to be a bit nervy and scrappy. Neither side really finding their rhythm. Plenty of endeavour out there, but so far we haven't really seen quality. And Bruno Alves just a slight kick out there at Almander, and Howard Webb didn't spot it.
He certainly made contact with Johan Almander at a point of his body where he's not used to it. Ronaldo. Miguel Veloso put in that wonderful cross for the goal. His contribution could certainly not be underestimated. One real quality delivery they had. And they got into an awful lot of very good situations.
I think Veloso had a fabulous game all round. He's that defensive insurance. He plays the holding midfielder, but when he stepped forward, you're absolutely right for the Ronaldo goal. The ball he put in, the cross he put in was fantastic, and that's what really Portugal had struggled with throughout the game, was the quality of their crossing.
But what can Nani produce here? Well, it certainly doesn't come into that category, unfortunately for him. A man who can frustrate and occasionally exhilarate. Often it's more the former than the latter.
Yeah, I'm presuming that was a shot, but he again is a player that probably needs to rise to this occasion. He is an influential player. He can turn a game with a cross or a goal. I just haven't seen the best of him so far.
He's not a young man anymore, turned 27 at the weekend. Not a young man in footballing terms, anyway. And the obligatory birthday cake was wheeled out at the training camp before they set off for Swedish shores. Yesterday we were rather aghast at the temperatures when they trained here. Here's Ronaldo. Well, he's saying, where were you in terms of the support, the targets to aim for?
Well, he's blaming his teammates, but I'm not sure what he's actually trying to do here. But this is where Portugal can really threaten. They win the ball back fairly cheaply. And the one thing you don't want as a defender is to be isolated one-on-one with Ronaldo. But is it a cross? Is it a shot? Hard to really say, but he certainly flaps his arms around, blames everybody else. But I'm not sure what he was trying to do there.
Well, when you make the direct comparison of these two wonderfully talented players, Ronaldo is certainly more a dominant figure in matches. His desire was there for all to see on Friday night. You can maybe question that sometimes in his Swedish counterpart.
Yeah, I think Trevor in the studio used the perfect word. It was his perseverance. He is a great footballer, we know that. He can score great goals, but he kept on going, kept on trying, believing he could be the difference, and we just didn't see Ibrahimovic really doing the same. So Ronaldo had a big part to play, even though we didn't see him playing the flowing football we know he's capable of.
This is Elmander. Ibrahimovic. Now Shellstrom. Music's needing to come there. It's just a slightly worrying moment.
Well, the Swedish approach in the opening half of this first half has been really very centrally based. They're trying to play through the middle of Portugal, and that's where the Portuguese are really strong. They have the extra man in central midfield. I think if Sweden are to be effective, they need to try and get the ball into wide areas, get their full-backs forward, get some crosses in. We really haven't seen them doing that throughout the tie so far.
Bruno Alves, one man who has tested a goalkeeper so far tonight. And Andreas Isaksson was up to that test. Lustig of Celtic. Moreles started the game terrifically well the other night. Ibrahimovic fed by Elmander into trouble in the shape of Jean Moutinho. Moreles, Moutinho, on for Hugo Almeida to chase, keeping Per Nielsen honest. Quentrao. Bruno Alves. Not a team to whom playing for a draw comes naturally. Seek to spring Ronaldo there. I mentioned the statistics. Neither one can shoot in 6 away from home. That's what Ibrahimovic was frustrated about.
The one thing about Portugal, though, is they're very comfortable in possession. They're very patient as well. So, of course, they'll fancy getting a goal in the game, but they can keep it at times. They can frustrate the crowd, frustrate the Swedish team, and I'm sure that would have been in the team talk from Paulo Bento. OK, don't go crazy, flying forward, taking risks, playing really killer balls all the time. Just keep hold of it, really take the sting out of the game and slow the tempo down at times.
Lustig. Trying to measure it for Ibrahimovic. Coentrão to intercept. And win a free kick. Well, I wonder if anything deep down, Seb Larsson's comments will have the opposite effect on Howard Webb.
Well, I think for Howard Webb, if it's a foul, it's a foul. Doesn't matter who's actually making the challenge there. I think the free kick's actually given for Lustig stepping across Coentrão. It wasn't for the sliding challenge, it was for the first one. The referee tried to play the advantage and then had to pull it back.
Well, we can all speculate about the effect that the psychological games have. Been to 2 World Cups with Sweden. They didn't go to the last one. Portugal haven't missed out since 1998 when they finished 3rd in a group behind Germany and the Ukraine. I know which team the marketing men would wish to see qualify. Bento was talking about the extra pressure on the Portuguese, the fact that it is in Brazil, a Portuguese-speaking country where they have plenty of supporters as well. Ronaldo looking for Hugo Almeida. Ibrahimovic. Chance to run at them, catching Iklic. What can he produce? Rasmus Elm was arriving. Shellström, Olsen, Elmander, now Elm. Moutinho won that back well.
That was a much better attack from Sweden. They're getting Ibrahimovic just dropping into that really pocket of space, turning and running at the Portuguese defence, but importantly getting the ball into wide areas. The final ball in wasn't the greatest, but I think that's much better. That's the way to break this Portuguese defence down.
We've not seen that often in the tie as a whole. There was one moment early on in the game, wasn't there, where Mikael Lustig got down the outside, put in an excellent cross, switching out. Elmander put just wide. Certainly their best attacking moment in open play. Coentrão, a little loose there. Larsson. Nielsen. Ibrahimovic. Now Martin Olsen for Sweden. Chopped down by Miguel Veloso. Screen in front of the back four.
Well, it's certainly a foul, but I think for Sweden they want Ibrahimovic on the edge of the penalty area, pulling his tricks and maybe picking up free kicks or possibly penalties, but he's having to come so deep to start the play for the Swedes that they're struggling to really have a major effect on the game in an attacking sense.
And Larsson's given it away. Hugo Almeida. Ronaldo's on the charge. Cut off at the pass by Per Nielsen. There in one moment the threat that Portugal have if Sweden do concede possession cheaply illustrated.
Well, Per Nielsen does really well. The important thing when you're up against Ronaldo is watch the ball, because he's got such quick feet. He's very pacey himself. If you take your eye off the ball, he'll be past you and in on goal before you know it. So it's a big centre-half as well, just to keep his eye on the ball and time his challenge well. This really is a nightmare. You can see how quick Ronaldo is moving. Nielsen, see his balance. He's always watching the ball. He's not worried about Ronaldo's body. He's just watching that ball and does really well to pinch it.
A pair of players really under the microscope, these Swedish centre-backs in this tie, given some rather rocky performances at times on the way to this stage. They've been up to the task so far. Raul Meireles. Larson. Contral going to ground and conceding the foul.
Maybe it's the two-footed nature possibly of the challenge, but I didn't see an awful lot wrong with that. It wasn't reckless. He seemed to be playing the ball, but Howard Webb very quickly blew his whistle.
Might have felt he wasn't in control, possibly. Well, half an hour played, and Sweden really yet to muster a particularly menacing attack. Ronaldo. Rasmus Elm stepped in. Howard Webb immediately dismissing the thought that Cristiano Ronaldo might have had a free kick there.
We do see this on occasion with Ronaldo. He is theatrical at times when he goes to ground. He just loses control of that ball, and Howard Webb absolutely right not to give a free kick. Ronaldo tried to win one. Wasn't the case.
Well, they do have a corner. Know each other pretty well. Well, up goes Ronaldo, but wide it goes.
We saw in the first leg how threatening Ronaldo can be in the air. At times he's jumped well, but he's under severe pressure and just on the way down as he makes contact with the ball. Just the timing of the jump slightly awry.
It is a huge night. These European playoffs, particularly for the French, and much of the talk ahead of these playoffs that was that one of Ronaldo and Ibrahimovic wouldn't make it. Frank Ribery is perhaps staring at that prospect. So even in the wake of their 2-0 defeat in the Ukraine, they have, in qualification, tended to be a better side, much better side at home than they have been away, and they did perhaps have the wherewithal to turn that around, but nothing yet for them. And nothing yet here for Sweden. Larson. Here's Veloso. That Bolton tried to sign a while ago. Gary Megson was in charge. I remember him telling me that if they were to get him, they probably had to remortgage the Reebok. The asking price was a little high.
You can see here it's a feature of the Portuguese game plan as well. They are pressing high up the field themselves, and they know that the Swedish back four not necessarily that comfortable with the ball at their feet, so they're squeezing them and making it very hard for them to play out.
Here's Quentrao. Ramirez hoping to get there. Got there, but didn't get a foul. And Thompson. João Pereira. Ronaldo with an adhesive first touch. Some space has opened up. Oh. And Isaacson hangs on.
That's a decent strike, but it's not the most powerful shot that Ronaldo has ever struck. You know he's more than capable on left or right foot of beating goalkeepers from this range, but it's good positioning again from Isaacson. He's 6'6", the Swedish keeper, so he's always got the reach to get across and make the save.
The clear danger signs allowing Ronaldo that kind of space. It was an open invitation. And again, it's the Swedish goalkeeper who is having to do the work at the moment, albeit infrequently.
Well, it's probably to be expected as Sweden push men forward, but what they're struggling to do is keep hold of the ball for a number of passes and get any rhythm in their game, so they're losing possession quickly. So Portugal are breaking and getting players in space.
Nani ducked underneath it, Ronaldo coming in. Well, beating the ground in frustration, it would have been some goal had it hit the target.
Well, the chances just keep coming, but this is a very, very difficult opportunity, even for a world-class footballer. It's the way he just skips up off the surface. You've got to time your run, you're moving at pace onto the ball. You're under some pressure as well from Lustig. Trying to keep this down is the big job you've got on. For a player of his ability, he'll be disappointed he's not hit the target.
Another Portuguese chance. Well, and Thompson won't enjoy having Hugo Almeida all over him. He's a big, bustling presence and a one goal every 3 games man at international level.
Portugal really have defended from the front, and maybe in many ways that's why Almeida is in the side as well. He's a tireless worker. He chases down defenders, and that means the Portuguese midfield can move in behind him and make it very hard for Sweden to get out from their own half.
João Pereira, Nani. They found a way through, only momentarily. We've got a tremendous weekend of live Premier League action for you. Super Sunday doubleheader. Manchester City against Tottenham from 12:30, Sky Sports 1 and Sky 3D. And Manchester United head to Cardiff. That one's also in 3D as well, 3:30, Sky Sports 1. First league meeting between Cardiff and Manchester United since the mid-70s. Shellstrom has found Larson well, pushed away from goal then. Lustig. There's a problem over on that far side with Elmander.
I think Elmander actually got clattered as Pepe cleared his lines.
Well, Ronaldo's in behind here, and that spells danger. Almeida's up there with him! Oh! And he cannot take the chance.
Well, I'll tell you what, if Almeida had scored here, there would have been certainly controversy, because Almander had been down for a long, long time. I think Sweden were looking for Portugal to put the ball out of play. Saying that Sweden had possession and didn't put the ball out of play themselves. It's an opportunity for Almeida. He's on the stretch. The ball is difficult to really keep on target when you're trying to stretch like that, even for a big centre forward.
Well, Pepe's follow-through catching Elmander. Howard Webb will, of course, play by the Premier League etiquette, won't he? And it's up to him to stop the game, not the players.
Well, actually, Sweden had the ball, so if they were really worried about Elmander, they could have just put the ball out themselves. They tried to put a cross in there with Lustig, gave possession away. Then they're blaming Portugal for not putting the ball out, but they had a good chance themselves to put it out of play and get Elmander some treatment.
can't have it both ways, in other words.
I certainly can't blame the referee for it. He can try and have a go at the Portuguese players. Pepe, I don't think, can be criticised for catching Elmander here. He's just clearing his lines on the stretch, and Elmander's brave going into that challenge. He's going to be okay, though.
If he shows the same indefatigable spirit that he did in the first leg, then that will be no problem to him. But those were the qualities we were talking about from Sweden in the first leg. It's different ones that they need to show here, and so far they're not coming to the fore in that respect.
Absolutely, we've seen energy and endeavour from them. You generally get that with Swedish sides, but we haven't seen quality and ingenuity, really. And look at the fact we nearly played 40 minutes, and Patricio hasn't had anything at all to do with a cross. He hasn't had a shot to save at all. I think the Swedes will be very, very disappointed with that.
Has gone out to meet him. Martin Olsen in the box. In the end, it's Rasmus Elm who guides it behind.
I think in many ways the Swedes will be happy to get some half-time with the scoreline blank, because Portugal really dominating the ball. They're full of confidence, they're knocking it around, and most importantly, they're creating opportunities. And if they were to get a second goal in the tie, it could be curtains for the Swedes.
Lustig. Looking towards Ibrahimovic. And now Shellström! Well, on that lovely left foot, and at last a test for Rui Patricio, albeit a routine one.
It's taken 41 minutes, but better play. Get some decent quality into Ibrahimovic, who brings Shellström into the game. He's a long, long way out. It's a beautiful strike. A good concentration from the Portuguese keeper. Had virtually nothing to do for the whole of this first half, and at the time he's dived correctly, and his handling was really good.
Vastly experienced. He passed Henrik Larsson on the Swedish all-time most capped list in that first leg, winning his 108th here this evening. And on he'll go, and he can unlock teams. It's Ibrahimovic trying to find a way through. Nani. Well, just a little flutter of encouraging football for Sweden, but the danger is always there. And here's Moutinho. On for Nani. Ronaldo coming near post. Here he is! Another extremely worrying moment from a Swedish point of view.
It's a fabulous attack. I just wonder whether Ronaldo's gone over on his ankle here, but it's another thing about world-class footballers is their movement off the ball. The way Ronaldo finds space here for Nani to find him. Just watch his movement. It's quite brilliant. He realises where the space is, gets into it. He's certainly off balance. I just wonder whether he's just rocked over on one of his ankles. Maybe he's standing foot as he takes this strike on. The last player that Portugal want to lose is that man.
Life in the French yet. Sacco on target for the French on a night where they have to produce an unprecedented recovery at this stage of World Cup qualification. Well, here comes Sweden, who are also in the recovery business. Kacaniklic. Shellström, Olsen. Looking to get beyond Nani, will force a corner.
Well, this is where Seb Larsson really has to just take a breath and provide some real quality here. They've struggled to be an attacking force in this first half, Sweden, but all they need is a break. And to get that, they need a decent ball in from Seb Larsson.
Well, they've wasted their first quarter of the match from this side. What here? That's better, but Ronaldo able to defend it first time of asking. Ibrahimovic! Well, not straightforward. The first effort of any sort from Zlatan on second leg night.
It's not easy with a dropping ball like that, no matter how good a player you are. This is not an easy volley, but you see the difference. Seb Larsson, decent ball in. There's consternation in the Portuguese defence, and it might only be a half chance. But Ibrahimovic, like Ronaldo down the other end, he'll be disappointed he's not at least hit the target from there.
Greater hope, though, for Eric Hamrén, and saw Marcus Olbeck in the background there. The players' manager is his official title, got a similar role to Oliver Bierhoff's with Germany. Briefing the media last night, the Swedes very open, revealing their starting lineup last night. Which is refreshing. That's Nani getting involved there. Needless bite on Martin Olsson.
There's a bit of thinking to do in the Swedish dressing room, you would think, at half-time, because one shot from that man, Kim Källström, for what, 40 yards is not really good enough. That's not the recipe to get back into this tie.
Rui Patricio able to safely gather, and that may see Portugal through to the half-time interval. Not that they've had to do much in the way of seeing through so far. Not come under any sort of sustained pressure. And that will be the question for Eric Hamrén at half-time. How they change the picture. Can they afford to rely on one flash of inspiration from Zlatan Ibrahimovic? Because there's been precious little from that point of view for Sweden. Portugal certainly the more threatening. Bruno Alves bringing a brilliant save out of Andreas Isaksson. Ronaldo always dangerous, but Sweden lacking a little in attack and certainly haven't mustered much to worry Rui Patricio in the Portugal goal. At the break, it's Sweden 0, Portugal 0. That Ronaldo goal still the difference on aggregate.
Which means it's still tied, but Sweden did come alive in that final 5 minutes. Half-time, the whistle came at a bad time, really. Prior to that, it was all Portugal. The thoughts of Johan and Trevor on the way next. They have to score tonight, Sweden, but so far the chances have all fallen to Portugal, and that man Ronaldo could have finished it as well. It's 0-0 though. Analysis next. Now, how about this to look forward to tomorrow night, the start of the Ashes series in Brisbane, Australia against England, 11 o'clock start, Sky Sports 2. That definitely falls into the unmissable category. Will be brilliant. That's the first test. We've got a big second half to come. These Swedish players still have got a chance, Johan Mjällby, and they might as well go for it in the second half, might they?
Definitely, they're still in it. You know, nothing has really changed. Obviously, they need to improve in the second half, you know, and put
Here's the change you wanted.
Good.
They've been listening to you. Anders Svensson is on his way to join the fray. Quick word from you, Trevor France. Is the Portuguese more nervous as this goes on?
No, I think that they'll welcome the fact that in the second half that Sweden will have to push forward a little bit, creating one or two opportunities for them, because the space will then start to come. And I think that's the worry for Sweden, giving Nani and Ronaldo on the counter-attack that kind of space. That's why they've been reluctant, Sweden, the first 45 minutes to push on too much. But as we've said, in the second half, they've got to do it now.
Let's see if they can do that. Remember, in France, half-time whistle imminent. It's France 2, Ukraine 2 on aggregate. It's beautifully poised here as well. Andy Hinchcliffe, Daniel Mann.
Yes, thanks, Ed. It certainly is. But Sweden need to show more in the way of attacking intent. The change, perhaps, will provide that. Anders Svensson winning cap number 148 tonight. It could well be his very last international. Sweden not on the plane to Brazil. He will not want to surrender a last chance of a major tournament at the age of 37. On for Rasmus Elm. Many in Sweden were calling for that change from the very start. Here's Lustig. Ibrahimovic in the box arriving, but Rui Patricio able to claim. Pass passed up a few opportunities to get the ball into the box in the first half, straight in there.
Absolutely, I think having attacking intent is one thing, but how do you go about putting Patricio and this Portuguese defence under more pressure? And I still feel it's getting that ball into wide areas, and maybe now with Svensson and Shellstrom, two very experienced central midfielders, can they get on the ball and really make Sweden tick and get the fullbacks pushing on a little bit more? But ultimately it's all about getting hold of the ball, showing quality in possession. I think in the first half the Portuguese were much better at that.
Well, Svensson did get a very important goal against the Republic of Ireland when the World Cup seemed to be another world away as they trailed 1-0. They came back to secure a vital win. They've also come from behind to beat Austria and, as you might expect, the Faroe Islands. An incredible salvage act in Germany when they were 4 down and still managed to get a draw. On a night when Philip Lahm, for once, didn't cover himself in glory defensively. For once. That's Bruno Alves down on the ground after Martin Olsen's spell in pain, and well, Ilhan Elmander's temper just simmering below the boil.
Have to keep an eye on that. Elmander and Alves in that first half had a few coming togethers, and the player particularly happy with each other's contribution to some of those challenges. So I do feel Elmander's a very lucky boy to be playing in this second game after the way he conducted himself in the first. But he is tireless, he does work centre-halves very well. But we've seen this a few occasions now, just leaning in, leaving a little bit on your opposite number and starting to bubble up, and let's hope it doesn't boil over.
Nani. Coutinho hoping to get there. João Pereira. Raul Meireles able to turn, quite able to pick a pass. And this is Fabio Contrao, might pick a way through. Ronaldo, and Isaacson is there again.
That's a brilliant save in the end from Isaacson. The offside flag had already gone up. It's a really good line actually that Sweden are holding here to catch Ronaldo and Almeida offside. I thought the net was going to bulge here, but even if it scored, it would have been pulled back.
Paolo Bento disagreeing. Ibrahimovic bustling, trying to find a way in behind. He has done, surely now! Oh, it's Rui Patricio's turn to produce. Oh, Seb Larsson with the chance.
I just wonder there why Seb Larsson took a touch to control the ball, because when it broke to him, he could have just struck it first time. Great work, good stretch here from Ibrahimovic to keep the ball alive. Just shoot first time. As soon as you take a touch, everything closes down. And it gives the keeper a chance to make the save. I think really Seb Larsson should just be gunning that with his first touch and equalising.
But here's Almander. It's like they flicked the switch. It's a different Sweden. Ibrahimovic. Lustig. Over Larsson's head. Coutinho. Hassling. Contrao looking for an outball which Hugo Almeida can provide. And it's full-blooded stuff now. This is Nani. Raul Meireles. Coutinho trying to clever stuff. Shellstrom wasn't having that. Kacaniklic. In towards Elmander. There's Bruno Alves with a header. Oh, what a beautiful ball. Now it's Cristiano Ronaldo with a chance maybe to seal it, and he has taken it. They're one step closer to Brazil, thanks to Cristiano Ronaldo.
Well, it's a fabulous forward ball, but as soon as Ronaldo takes his first touch here, you pretty much know what is going to happen, because in world football, in front of goal, this man is absolutely devastating. And as the game started to open up, Sweden had a great chance to score the opening goal, but straight down the other end, Ronaldo, well, he just doesn't pass up chances like this, and Isaacson, absolutely no chance of stopping it.
Well, devastating in more ways than one. It's that the moment that kills the Swedish dream.
And once he takes that first touch and gets the ball out of his feet, you can see his balance, he's upright, he's had a quick look to see where the keeper is. He knows exactly what he wants to do, sets himself beautifully, sets himself so early. Clean strike. That could settle the tie, a beautiful finish.
Well, he thinks it may well be enough. Within 90 seconds of Seb Larsson's glorious opportunity, Cristiano Ronaldo has got the goal, which could well be decisive. The away goals rule means, of course, now that Sweden need to score 3.
Absolutely, the Swedish number 7, Seb Larsson, in front of goal, just fluffed his lines, took an extra touch that he didn't need. Portuguese number 7, Cristiano Ronaldo, 2 or 3 excellent touches, devastating finish, and you just wonder whether he would be the key man in this tie, and that's exactly how it's proved. Still a long way to go. Sweden will be devastated, so close to getting the opening goal in the game. Portugal sweep down the other end and could have killed off their hopes.
It's the end of the evening for Fabio Coentrão, and Vitorino Antunes is going to replace him. Oh, the inevitable outcome, really. And he's written his name all over this match. It was not a performance of scintillating flair in the first leg. It was a performance of guts, determination, desire and will to win, epitomised by the moment with which he broke the deadlock. That a searing break in the end, a wonderful ball and a wonderful finish, and, well, Sweden may be finished.
We've seen it time and time again from Ronaldo in a Real Madrid shirt when his team are under pressure. He just floats them out the halfway line, hoping they're going to pinch the ball back, which they do. The timing of his run, the intelligence to go just as the pass is played, to stay onside, then use his pace. And that devastating finishing ability going forward. The best attacking players in the world. He's just underlined that fact.
Well, let's not write off Sweden yet, though. 38 minutes to go. They've got to score 3 goals. They scored 4 in 28 in Germany earlier in this group. Svensson. Larsson. Out to Lustig. Let's deliver a decent enough cross, but Pepe on the end of it. Olsen. Olsen again. Nani hoping to win it back. And there's a yellow card for Olsen.
See here how Portugal really have pressurised the game. Nani closing down, making life hard for the left back, who just sticks out an arm. It's an intentional handball. That's always going to be a yellow card.
Ibrahimovic. Portugal to follow in the footsteps of Greece, who have booked their passage in Romania tonight with a 1-1 draw. Croatia seemingly on their way. 2-0 lead against Iceland. And France on the way to producing a really remarkable comeback against the Ukraine. 2-2 on aggregate, they lead 2-0 on the night. Oh, it evaded Elmander. Got into the kind of position there which has been at a premium for them. Antonsen. Ronaldo. Raul Meireles. Ronaldo. Confidence from his point of view is very rarely far from its highest. Svensson. Lustig. Crying out for options. Svensson will provide one. Now Kacaniklic. He will drift it in there, away from Ibrahimovic. Nani coming under pressure. Pepe. Hugo Almeida. But Johnston is battling for it, but he can't quite get there. João Moutinho. Well, they need something, and they need something quickly, the Swedes.
It's really important the Swedish crowd play their part as well. They've been shell-shocked as the players. The way that they've gone behind, but they need to get back on their feet and cheer their team on.
It is Ibrahimovic. Not everybody who was in the box, and Ronaldo will pick up the pieces here for Portugal. Johnston thought he had more time than he actually had. Just the end of this adventure, but possibly the reign of Erik Hamreh's Swedish coach.
There are very fine margins in football at any level. The Swedish coach will look at that chance that possibly Larsson had to open the scoring, and they were punished down the other end very, very quickly. And it's hard to come to terms with. As a coach, you've got to try and shrug that off and get your message on to your players about what you want, how we're going to go about to actually repair the damage. It'll be a monumental effort to recover from this position. The coach has got to keep believing.
Pressure from João Pereira. Promise here. And Nilsson on the end of that. Amanda was Anders Svensson full of hustle and bustle on this occasion up against João Moutinho. Ibrahimovic. Seen most of his time on the ball when he's dropped very deep. Here he is again. Oh, Kacaniklic in round the back here. Larsson beyond Lustig. Svensson. Elmander. Shellström. Larsson. Shellström. Cristiano Ronaldo, the man who's made the difference in both legs, and he was nearing full pelt there. Howard Webb felt there was no case for a free kick. And there's certainly a case against Nani here, and he's going to get a booking.
Do you feel that Howard Webb has got that absolutely right? Ronaldo just overran it slightly and seemed to me to throw himself to ground, not necessarily be fouled, certainly bumped. Howard Webb made the decision. Ronaldo not happy, of course. He's to want a free kick every time he hits the deck.
Nielsen. Larsson. Shellström. Now Antonsson. They are getting the encouragement from the support here in the Friends Arena. Elmander trying to get away from Veloso. He's succeeded. Kacaniklic. Pepe shutting the door in his face.
There's much more freedom now in the Swedish approach. They're starting to knock the ball around and get players forward, take a few more risks, and that all stems from conceding that opening goal. They have to go for it now.
Better to die trying. Larsson's ball. Oh, it got stuck under the defender's feet. João Pereira bringing it away. And he will be fouled by Anders Svensson, who is going to receive a yellow card.
This has to be a booking for Anders Svensson. Vastly experienced. He knows exactly what he's doing here. There's no way he's letting the Portuguese midfielder break beyond him and just clips his heels, brings him down, and pretty readily accepts the yellow card he gets and deserves.
That dreaded cliche, taking one for the team. Ibrahimovic. Acrobatics from Bruno Alves. He is going to penalise Ibrahimovic for a bit of backing in. Header from Hugo Almeida. Svensson. This is going to go Portugal's way, to Larsson's huge frustration. Screaming Howard. Well, this buttering up of the referee certainly hasn't worked, has it? João Moutinho. Behind that Swedish central midfield pair. It's Ronaldo. Oh, that's beautiful. And Túnez, can he get there? It's Lustig with a very timely challenge.
That's another aspect of Ronaldo's game, the way he can pick out on-rushing teammates. He is unselfish at times. We know the ability he has with the ball at his feet. He loves to dip inside and get shots away. How about that for a bit of brilliance? And Anders Svensson has to be careful. He's been booked. He certainly catches Ronaldo there, leaves a little bit on him. He really doesn't need to.
He certainly ran a risk there, Anders Svensson. Well, I wonder if he will afford himself a smile if Portugal are to book their place.
I don't think Paulo Bento would smile if they won the World Cup.
Isaacson with the fist, João Pereira. That's away by Johan Elmander. Larsson giving chase. Won his battle. Sweden have to win a few more of theirs. Nani scampering after it. Work ethic from him, but it'll break for Elmander. Sweden can try and get motoring. Olsen. Kacaniklic. Alonso right there. Kacaniklic will be asked to find that a goal kick has been given.
It's had a relatively quiet game, also, but that really underlines the importance he is. On this Portugal side, he just tracks the winger there and just times his challenge. Perfect. It's just that extra defensive insurance, a really intelligent midfielder.
He's been a class act over the two legs, hasn't he? I mean, not have an eye-catching impact apart from the assist for the goal in the first leg. Done a very, very important job and a very efficient job.
That really suits him. He'd be happy to be not really noticed, because if he plays well, then you see more Morelos going forward, Moutinho, certainly more Ronaldo and Nani as well. So if he plays his role well, he brings those key attacking players into the game much more.
A lot of them have been playing together in international colours for a long, long time now. I remember seeing Moutinho and Veloso together, Nani as well at the Under-21 Championship 6 years ago, when they did rather blow it. They succumbed to the pressure a bit because a lot was expected of them. Manuel Fernandes also playing in that team, the former Everton man. And Túnez, the left back too. João Pereira. Hugo Almeida. João Pereira. Morelos to clip it in. Hugo Almeida. Well, they have the insurance. And they have the questions to answer. Eric Hamrain and Marcus Orbeck discussing the potential solutions. Toivonen may have a part to play. Alexander Gern, striker, who's just returned to the fold after a ban over an assault conviction.
I think if you're going to make a change, you have to make it in the next 5 minutes or so to give any substitute a chance, a real chance of having an effect on the game in the final 20 minutes.
Rustic pointing where he's wanted it, and now he's got it. Beyond Ibrahimovic, but not Pepe for Portugal. Rustic back in there. It's Bruno Alves this time. He's found his way through the challenge. You know who. And Svensson earning applause, and now Ibrahimovic is after this. Losing the battle there with Pepe. Able to settle for the corner.
Doesn't matter how they get it, Sweden just desperate for a goal to give them an opportunity of recovering in this game in a set piece. If they can put some quality in there, if there is any disarray in the Portuguese defence, they just need to break the home side.
And Nielsen there. Well, beyond him, but in! Ibrahimovic has finally arrived, and there is a glimmer of hope for Sweden.
Well, it's a really decent ball in, but it's shocking defending from the Portuguese. We know Ibrahimovic is a big lad and he's more than capable in the air, but he doesn't have to do an awful lot to score here. Just gets off the ground, nods it into the far corner. Maybe there's life in Sweden yet. Decent ball in. Oh, watch Ibrahimovic up against Bruno Alves. He's just too strong for him. Just standing still, the Portuguese defenders, and that is far too easy for a centre-forward of Ibrahimovic's quality. That is a very, very simple goal.
Well, could it be a game-changing moment? They will all be saying now, remember Germany, remember what we did there. 4 goals in 28 minutes to salvage an astonishing draw. Here's Elmander. 2 more will do it tonight, and they've got the momentum. Kacaniklic is in there. Ibrahimovic, can he turn? Oh, Shellstrom goes down! But Howard Webb points the other way. Well, he was right on the spot, but he didn't point to it.
Well, this really is a massive call, but there's not an awful lot of debate from Shellstrom. And I don't think actually Pereira makes any contact whatsoever with Shellstrom as he bursts forward. He just pulls his leg away, if anything. I think Howard Webb has made a big call, but for me he's made the right call. Shellstrom looking for the penalty. Is there contact there? Not for me.
Well, the din around the stadium and the faces in the Swedish dugout will suggest there's few around who agree with you, Andy, but I have to say I do.
You notice Elmander came across to protest to Howard Webb, but Shellstrom himself, if he had been truly fouled, I think he would have been flying at the referee to complain, but he just got up, jogged back, then eventually he just wagged a finger. I think that tells you that it wasn't a foul.
Well, he just thought it was worth a try, didn't he? And other referees might have buckled.
Well, for me, that's why Howard Webb is so well regarded. He's generally on the spot when those big decisions need to be made, and he's pretty much right every time. Major call, but a brilliant call.
Nani. Larson. Well, Antunes wanted a free kick, which he was not going to get. Bruno Alves having to make that. That looked a foul by Veloso, right on the edge of the penalty area.
It's amazing what a goal can do for a team. Suddenly Sweden flying forward. Portugal have a Portugal were really troubled throughout this tie, really, and now they're absolutely all over the place, making major mistakes, giving away soft goals, and this is a major opportunity for Sweden to get a second.
Well, the debate between the trio who surrounded a free kick in a similar position in the first leg, which Shellstrom just curled a fraction wide, had the surprise element that night, maybe not tonight. Is the stage set for one man? It's Ibrahimovic! He's done it! And one more will do it for Sweden! Incredible stuff!
Well, this is quite extraordinary, and actually when the ball is right on the edge of the penalty area like this, it is so difficult to be precise, to whip it maybe into the top corner, and Ibrahimovic just decides, I'm going to put my foot through this and blast it. If it gets past the wall, it's past the keeper before Patricio can even blink, and the right decision from Ibrahimovic, and cometh the hour, cometh the man.
Well, they've waited for a moment of inspiration to come, and it has at last for Sweden.
If you just watch the role that Almanda plays in this as well, he just leans into the Portuguese wall, he outmuscles the Portuguese wall, opens up a touch of space, and that's where the ball whistles past the wall. Patricio doesn't cover himself in glory, but the ball is moving that fast, the Portuguese keeper can't see it.
Well, amidst that din, William Carvalho has come on, the 21-year-old for Sporting. Welcome to international football. It's his first cap.
So much talk about the two superstars in this game before a ball was kicked, and wondered who would have the biggest influence, and for me Ronaldo has been certainly more influential, but Ibrahimovic just in flashes, we've seen what he's capable of, but it all stems from that opening goal for Sweden. How poor Portuguese were defensively, they gifted that goal, they raised the roof here at their friends' arena, and then suddenly Sweden were roaring into the game, and Ibrahimovic with that free kick has turned the game on its head.
Level on aggregate, but Portugal's away goal the difference at the moment. Almanda, Lustig, Ibrahimovic hoping to get there. Pepe stooping and conquering. Shellstrom. Now it's Olsen. Shellstrom again. Ibrahimovic to try and hold it up, and he's worked it through. Shellstrom, will it break for him? Almanda's battling. And now Ronaldo. Now Howard Webb, not sold. Shellstrom. The momentum's certainly with the Swedes now. Nice touch by Svensson. Oh, and Kacaniklic! And Ibrahimovic looking round, he felt maybe that he was tugged. No big appeal.
This is why we love this game, because in the space of, what, 5 minutes, Sweden have turned it on its head, and just Kacaniklic's poor first touch here, if he could have just killed that, cushioned it down, there's a chance of getting a shot away, a clip of the heels. And Ronaldo, and that's why he's gone down injured. Ronaldo down, but Sweden certainly on the up.
Veloso. Hugo Almeida. Going up against him. A grimace of pain, a picture of frustration. It's a tight call, but probably the right call. And 15 minutes of high drama ahead. As if we haven't had enough already. Here's Kacaniklic. Svensson. Carvalho blocking the road. But now it's Ronaldo who can break again. And can he kill the Swedish dream? He has done, surely. Well, when he's around, you've always got a chance. And he's once again leading the personal battle. He may just have finally led Portugal to the World Cup finals.
They could well have broken Swedish hearts here, because they'd, in the last 10 minutes or so, turned the game on its head. But there's one player on the pitch out there that can turn the course of a game, change the complexion of a match, and it's Cristiano Ronaldo. Absolutely devastating again on the counter-attack. As the ball is played out to him, it's a really good ball from Hugo Almeida. Times the pass perfectly. It's not an easy ball to take under your spell and then to thrash past the goalkeeper. But Ronaldo, once again, his balance, he knows exactly what he wants to do. He's not rushed, he's not hurried, he makes his mind up quickly, he covers the ground so quickly as well, composes himself beautifully and absolutely buries it.
Well, while Zlatan's flame flickers, Ronaldo's rages. He has been the dominant figure in this tie, and he may just have sounded a winning note for Portugal.
There's always a risk that Sweden had to take, of course, chasing that third goal. They're going to leave themselves a bit short at the back, and if you are short at the back, the one player you don't want in a Portuguese shirt running at you, if you're short in numbers, is Cristiano Ronaldo, because when chances come along, not necessarily easy chances, he will take them.
Sweden have to respond again. Once more, it's 2 goals they need, but it's a chance for Ronaldo again. Hat-trick. He has written his name all over this tie, and there is no doubt now he's paved their path to Rio.
It's absolutely incredible. His movement, his first touch, and his finishing tonight has just been extraordinary. This Swedish fans shaking their heads, the coach is shaking his head. He cannot believe what he's seeing here, but this is why Ronaldo is so renowned in world football. His finishing ability, everything about his game is top-notch, and tonight he's just shown why he is the very, very best in the world.
Well, in barely 2 minutes, he has killed the Swedish dream.
As soon as Portugal pick the ball up in midfield, just watch Ronaldo, his movement, he's just hoping for a decent pass. It's a fabulous pass to pick him out, but how much work has he still got to do? There's a couple of defenders to deal with. He just opens some space up for himself. Again, doesn't panic, composure. Takes the shot on when it's absolutely right to do so. Absolutely devastating. An extraordinary night. An extraordinary finishing from Cristiano Ronaldo.
Well, they were staring down the barrel, Portugal. Sweden had the momentum, they had the belief, they had those 2 goals in quick succession from Zlatan Ibrahimovic. But he just went up through the gears again. And this has been an astonishing individual performance, really. I mean, in the first leg, we've mentioned it already, it was all about his desire and his will and his perseverance. Tonight he's shown his class as well.
I think over the course of the tie, Portugal, for me, have shown more composure, more quality in possession as a team, but we've talked about it before, the superstars, the standout individuals, whether they would come to the fore. And in this game, when they were under the cosh, Portugal, Ronaldo really has stood up and stepped up to the plate. It's just his finishing, just his all-round game tonight. It's been sensational.
Coutinho. Nani. Well, they there may be more for them here. João Pereira. Ronaldo again! Well, he's not finished for the night.
This is inches wide. I just think when you strike this with your right foot from this type of distance, it's always going to slightly curve away. You just see fantastic finishing of Cristiano Ronaldo, whether it be right foot, left foot, just his pace, his balance, his composure. At times he's simply unstoppable.
Well, changes for both sides. Jimmy Durmaz, who thought he might get a chance tonight for Sweden, as we see Hugo Almeida trudge off. He'll be replaced by Ricardo Costa, a defender for a striker. Sums up Paulo Bento's mood at the moment. He does more often than not, let's be honest. Jimmy Durmaz is coming on for Alexander Kacaniklic. He thought he might see action tonight because they were suggesting he might be on the list of 5 penalty takers, should it be needed. Sadly for him, his role will not be so important. Three goals in maybe 10 minutes. That's Sweden's task now. Durmaz involved for the first time. Ibrahimovic. Olsen. Ricardo Costa stretching. Ibrahimovic on a hat-trick himself. Durmaz. Oh, Elmander, it may not be finished yet. But Wild in the end.
This is a big opportunity from Elmander. Good link-up play. 2 strikers in combination. It's not easy. You've got to get your bearings very quickly when you're on the turn, on the spin. Most importantly, you've got to keep it down. It's wayward.
I'm sure you've enjoyed seeing Cristiano Ronaldo tonight, and you will have another opportunity to do so at the weekend. As our Liga action kicks in again, Saturday 6:55, Sky Sports 4, Real's trip to Almeria. And that will be followed by Atletico Madrid against Getafe, a local affair, that one 8:55, also Sky Sports 4. Chance to savour Diego Costa's talents as well, which certainly worth doing if you get the chance. Another yellow card, and Antonsen is its destination. Well, he's done a terrific job, Howard Webb. Let's blow the trumpet for him. He may not be going to the World Cup finals. No World Cup final referee has ever returned for the next tournament, so he will break new ground if he does.
I think he's done really well. He's got the major calls right for me, and at times he's tried to let the game flow. He knows there's some good attacking players out there and has tried his best to get some rhythm into the game, and that is a referee's job as well.
Pepe. Jimmy Durmaz. Martin Olsen. Shellstrom. Well, you can look back and say at least they had a go in the second period. But I think in the final analysis, and we are approaching that, there was a gap in class. Even if you take Ronaldo out of the equation.
Absolutely. Over the course of the piece, I think there's been flurries from Sweden, but the concerted pressure, the real quality has come from Portugal.
Olsen. Too close in the end to Rui Patricio, who has not been as busy as Sweden might have hoped. I'm sure he will be disappointed in what happened with the Ibrahimovic free kick, but there was so much pace on it.
I think he'll have a word for his wall as well, because even though Almanda leans into it, sometimes as a player you've got to be stronger than that. You've got to shove Almanda away. Your job is to get in the way of the ball. It might be travelling at 90 miles an hour, but you've got to put your body on the line, and that wall didn't.
Bruno Alves. Ricardo Costa winning the challenge, fair and square. And I think Mikael Lustig has a case. That's probably just born of frustration. Svensson. Oh, almost a present there for Durmaz, who couldn't react. Covered him very quickly, in fairness, but that's a lovely touch by Ronaldo. What a performance he's produced tonight. And he might just cap it all with another stunning moment.
Real touches of genius from Cristiano Ronaldo, and that another one there, just the way he dinks that ball around the corner and then he's off again. Using that pace and that direct running. Of course, we know he's not afraid to strike a goal. Isaacson has that one covered.
Well, the arguments tend to go one way when you compare Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi for that very coveted title, the very best in the world. But what neither has done, like many of the modern greats, a Pelé, a Cruyff, a Maradona, is dominated a World Cup. Covered most of Messi's games in South Africa. He was outstanding individually. It's Almanda. On the day of the quarter-final against Germany, when Argentina got whipped, he woke up with a pretty nasty cold. He was far from at his best. And we get the grumpy old-timers reminding Ronaldo and Messi of the fact that they haven't dominated a World Cup until they do.
A mouth-watering prospect to get Messi and Ronaldo at a World Cup. I'm sure that's what the marketing men would have wanted. Ronaldo again has just underlined what a difference he can make, what one player can make, and you've got to appreciate playing at international level, the top level of the game. For one player to have an influence on a game like we've seen from Ronaldo tonight just underlines what an amazing, immense talent he is. He can really turn a team's fortunes around on his own.
And there's no greater pressure. In club level, there's usually a game next week. At international level, that isn't always the case. Well, I'm hearing more remarkable news tonight, and you will see it shortly. Mamadou Sakho, a shot from Jimmy Durmaz there. And Mamadou Sakho has scored his second of the night, and France have turned it around. They're on the brink of qualification. 8 o'clock kickoff, that one. So a little behind us here. But Seb Larsson, who has his own big moment to look back on, and maybe 2 touches was one too many. He's going to be replaced by Alexander Ghent. Not a substitution that is greeted with unanimous acclaim. He is a fairly controversial figure. He has served a 2-year international ban after he was convicted of assaulting his ex-wife, for which he received a suspended prison sentence. And here he is on the ball. Well, 5 more minutes, but even for the Swedes, who have produced some remarkable comebacks along this World Cup qualifying road, which seems to be about to end, surely too little. Moutinho. On the charge here. New space to move into. He's got help here from João Pereira. Coutinho. And Shellstrom back there defending. Well, for Liverpool fans, I'm sorry to cut short Mamadou Sakho's joy, but it appears that the third France goal is going to go down as an OG by Oleg Husev of Dynamo Kiev. But he was in there. I don't think the Parisians will mind too much. Here's Ronaldo. Oh! Well, there's nothing, almost nothing beyond this man.
What's amazing here is he misses, but how high he gets off the ground just to control this ball. He has no right to get it on his chest and get a chance to get a shot away. Really, he should be burying this, and no wonder he's grimacing. He could have had his fourth.
Ridiculous that he managed to manufacture the chance. Martin Olsen, not the most certain of headers from Veloso. Ibrahimovic was unorthodox. Elmander needed a few touches there. Perhaps his last one wasn't the best idea. Ibrahimovic towards him again. Pepe away. William Carvalho was a little short there. Martin Olsen. Sweden won't be there on the big stage again, second time in succession. Here's Veloso, Nani on the charge in the middle. Veloso couldn't measure the pass in the manner in which he did in the first leg. Jimmy Durmaz for Sweden. It's a dizzying run. João Pereira got a foot in. Sweden just try and salvage the pride of not being beaten on their own ground. Which is something they do have a habit of generally avoiding. Shellstrom's cross. Costa's header will just trundle out for a corner, which Ibrahimovic is going to take. Lustig couldn't get there. A free kick in Portugal's favour, and maybe that is the final Swedish chance to at least avoid defeat on the night. But the celebrations are beginning. Certainly hard-earned. They met with so much in the way of dogged resistance in the first leg. They weren't really under feverish pressure, but there was a time in this match when it looked as though it was drifting away from them, and at that moment, Cristiano Ronaldo delivered. Picked up by João Pereira. Svensson with the foot in. Glance at the watch from Howard Webb. Whistle in mouth, and that signals that Portugal are on their way to Brazil. Irrepressible, irreplaceable, a rampant Ronaldo has delivered a magnificent individual performance to end Sweden's hopes and send Portugal on their way. A hat-trick on the night. A goal in the first leg when it was all about determination, drive and will to win. tonight he showed real top-class finishing as well. Ibrahimovic did turn up to the party with 2 goals in quick succession, and at that moment Portugal were really rocking, but then he went up into top gear. Magnificent.
Well, I think if you look at the two teams, for me, over the course of the 2 games, Portugal have certainly been the better side. They've created the more opportunities, and they deservedly march on to Brazil and the World Cup. But in years to come, when we look back at this tie, talk about this tie, it will be Cristiano Ronaldo's, and rightly so, because as an individual, he turned the course of the game with some amazing movement off the ball, amazing pace, and quite amazing finishing.
Well, you cannot argue anything other than the best team have won, and the best man has won in the individual contest. Sweden had their spell, they had them rocking, but they've come through in style and in the end with room to spare. They've won 3-2 on the night. It finishes on aggregate, Sweden 2, Portugal 4.
And they say that Ibrahimovic likes to call himself God. Well, Ronaldo has just played like one. Simply brilliant. And the good news really for any football fan is that we're going to see Ronaldo in Brazil at the World Cup. And the party and the celebration, as you can see there, has begun for Portugal. The sadness is that Ibrahimovic will not be there. And you just wonder at the age of 32 if that's the end of the road as far as World Cups are concerned for Ibrahimovic. But he was simply incredible at times. Football from another planet. So Portugal are heading to the World Cup, where they're set to be joined by Croatia and Greece are through tonight. France have turned it round against Ukraine. They're 3-2 up at the moment on aggregate. More on that in a moment. Let's tell you what we can look forward to this weekend. Brilliant weekends in the Barclays Premier League. The SNF with David Jones and Jamie Redknapp is West Ham against Chelsea from 5 o'clock, Sky Sports 1. And then on Super Sunday, Manchester City against Spurs. 2 sides looking to bounce back. Big game for both. We start Super Sunday, 12:30, HD and 3D for you. It's followed by Cardiff against Manchester United. It is always noisy there. Big day again in Cardiff for them after victory in the South Wales derby. And then West Brom against Aston Villa as Monday Night Football returns with Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher, 7 o'clock, Sky Sports 1. Well, Ronaldo had these two out of their chairs tonight. He was that good. We'll look back on his goals. You'll enjoy it in a couple of minutes' time. It was billed as the Ronaldo v Ibrahimovic show. He struck first. Then we had some Ibracadabra magic. But it was Ronaldo again that even had him clapping. Portugal and their sensational captain are heading for Brazil.